Hey guys, it's me Jack, and I'm back with another review. Today I will be continuing my reviews of the Jurassic Park movies with my review of The Lost World. Jurassic Park. Wait, shouldn't it be Jurassic Park The Lost World? Whatever. After the enormous success of the original Jurassic Park, many people were wondering if they were going to make a sequel. Michael Crichton ended up publishing a sequel book, and so Spielberg figured that he would base the next movie off of that. The film, despite being successful at the box office, was met with a mixed reception from fans and critics. Some praised it as a good sequel, while others called it a massive disappointment. And over the years, the criticisms for this movie seem to have only grown louder, with some people going as far as to calling it the worst film in the series. The movie takes place 4 years after the events of the original, as it would seem there is another island with dinosaurs on it as well, called Isla Sorna. This island was where the dinosaurs were originally bred before they were transported to the park, and John Hammond is sending in a team of researchers in order to protect the dinosaurs from the company that he used to run. He tries to get Dr. Malcolm into going, but Malcolm is at first against this until he realizes that his girlfriend, Sarah Harding, is already there, and so he goes down there to rescue her. Not knowing that, at the same time, another group led by Hammond's nephew Peter Ludlow are also on the island, and plan on capturing the dinosaurs to put them in a zoo on the mainland. When it comes to the characters of this movie, Dr. Malcolm coming back is a welcome return. I love the fact that he's the main character of this movie. Admittedly, he isn't quite the same as he was in the original. He's not as cocky or witty. He still has those moments for sure, but overall he is a bit more serious, which is understandable considering what he's been through. He serves as the voice of experience among the group of people visiting the island, as he's the only one who has dealt with dinosaurs before. Like the original, he has several very funny lines. Unfortunately, he doesn't really have much of an arc. Unlike in the first movie, where the protagonist, in that case Dr. Grant, went on an actual journey, here Malcolm stays basically the same character throughout the movie. Still, it's Jeff Goldblum as Malcolm, and he's a lot of fun nonetheless. The character of Sarah Harding, played by Julianne Moore, is okay. She certainly has an adventurous spirit to her. She's a paleontologist who has spent all of her life digging for dinosaurs, and now leaps at the opportunity to see them in the flesh. Her relationship with Malcolm is fine. The scenes of them bickering are pretty funny and entertaining to watch. Sadly though, their romance doesn't really seem to go anywhere. There's the one scene at the beginning of them arguing and talking about their personal problems, and then it never really comes up again. Vince Vaughn plays Nick Van Owen, and I have to say, he's very good. His character is the one who has been hired by John Hammond to sabotage Peter Ludlow and his team at all costs. His character does have a bit more of a selfish and pompous side to him, though. Like in the scene where he brags about how he's going to win the Pulitzer Prize because of the pictures that he took of the dinosaurs. He even takes the bullets out of Roland Tembo's gun to prevent him from defending himself from the T-Rex. However, the real reason he did this was because Roland is a hunter, and he doesn't like him. Unfortunately, though, at the end of the film, his character just disappears. Once we get to San Diego, you never see him again. You think he would be there with Sarah and Malcolm. There's the character of Eddie Carr, who sadly isn't really on screen for that long. He has some genuinely good lines, and then he gets eaten halfway through. As for the villain characters in this movie, we have Peter Ludlow, Hammond's nephew, who, like Dennis Nedry in the first movie, does serve a genuine purpose to the story, serving as the real reason as to why Hammond sent this team to the island. He basically follows in the same footsteps as his uncle, except even more crazy. His character in a lot of ways is trying to be like his uncle, or at least trick people into thinking that he is. He's very charismatic, he's very charming, but also very manipulative. Inside, he is ultimately a lot more shallow and greedy. Some people believe that he is very much John Hammond from the novel, and yeah, I can see why. Right down to him not really learning his lesson. Even after the adult T-Rex breaks out and starts killing people, he still wants to keep the baby T-Rex. His character has a great sense of arrogance to him, saying that he and the company own the dinosaurs because they created them. that they have no rights because they're extinct animals. Ultimately, his foolishness does lead to his end at the hands of the T-Rex. There's the character of Roland Tembo, played by Pete Postlethwaite. Not only is Pete Postlethwaite a fantastic actor, but the character is pretty interesting. Unlike Peter Ludlow, he isn't entirely one-dimensional. He is introduced at first as a douchebag hunter, a man who is obsessed with hunting the greatest predator that ever lived, the T-Rex. He openly admits that that's all he really wants. He doesn't need any money. Despite this, though, he does still care about other people, even if they aren't on his side. When he sees blood on Sarah's jacket, he asks if she's injured. And when one of their men seems to be missing, he tells her to not tell Malcolm's daughter, as he knows that it would be too traumatic for her. He also cares about his friend Ajay. And at the end of the movie, when he realizes that Ajay is dead, he's genuinely hurt. He is the one character in the movie that does go on kind of a journey. He starts off absolutely obsessed with hunting the T-Rex. But once he finally does get it, he just sort of sits there like, now what do I do? I've hunted the greatest predator on the planet. What else is there to do now? And ultimately, it's implied that he quits being a hunter. There is a deleted scene that I think they really should have included in the movie. It does a better job of establishing his friendship with Ajay, as well as the fact that he just seems bored of hunting animals. The character of Dieter Stark, played by Peter Stormare, is a great example of a character who doesn't have that much screen time or that many lines, but still leaves an impression on you, because the guy is just a piece of shit. He runs into a little Compsognathus at the beginning of the movie, and he decides to tase it just for the fun of it. But later that comes back to bite him in the ass when a group of them attack him. As for the dinosaurs in this movie, there are way more of them in this movie than in the original. And for that reason, I actually liked this film better than the original when I was a kid. Again, the lack of dinosaurs in the original kind of made the amount of time that they were on screen a lot more special. But nonetheless, I did appreciate that they introduced new kinds of dinosaurs. You have the Compsognathus, who have that great scene that I just mentioned with Dieter Stark, that ends with a really gruesome death. You see them jumping over a log to where he is, and you hear him screaming in agony, and then you see a stream of blood. Ugh. Like the Dilophosaurus, the Compsognathuses are scary in that they can go from being incredibly cute to deadly. We get this whole roundup sequence, which is one of the best in the movie, as it shows all kinds of different dinosaurs all on screen at the same time. Parasaurolophus, Mamenchius, and the Pachycephalosaurus. The Velociraptors make a great return, in a really scary scene, in which some of the hunters are walking in the tall grass, and the raptors sneak their way through and take them down one at a time. And the fight scene with the raptors at the abandoned InGen compound is really quite exciting. I always love the moment where Malcolm hides inside that one room, and instead of just opening the door or something, the raptor jumps through the glass and breaks it. Once again, the star of the show is the T-Rex, or should I say, the T-Rexes. That's right, there's 2 of them in this movie. And that is just glorious. Not only that, but there's even a baby T-Rex. The scene where they knock the trailer over the cliff, while not on the same level of awesomeness as the introductory scene from the original, is still really cool. Especially the famous moment where Sarah is on the glass that is starting to crack. That moment is classic Spielberg suspense. Of course, at the end of the movie, the male T-Rex is captured and brought to San Diego, and we get a King Kong-like climax where it rampages in the city. For some people that might be very cheesy and cliched, and I mean, yeah, I can't deny this has been done a lot of times before. But it's still really cool. You get to see the T-Rex ram a bus into a blockbuster, eat the writer of the movie, drink from a swimming pool, eat a dog. Okay, that's not cool. Why did you do that, T-Rex? The special effects in this movie are even better than in the original. On top of that, this movie does definitely have a different feeling than the original, which is an important aspect of any good sequel. You don't just want to do the original all over again, and this film for the most part doesn't. Instead of having the film be set in a ruined amusement park, It's set on an island in the wild. You got dinosaurs running around in their natural habitat, which in a way makes it even more scary. The film is darker than the original. Janusz Kaminski, the film's cinematographer, gave the movie a great grim look and feel, while still having some color. The death scenes in this film are even more disturbing than in the first film. The T-Rexes rip Eddie Carr apart. There's another scene where a T-Rex pulls a guy out of a waterfall, and then you see his blood running down it. Ugh. Spielberg continues to do a brilliant job directing, and proves that he is, without a doubt, the best director in the Jurassic Park series. The film is full of his brilliant sense of suspense, and his beautiful camera work, including an amazing one-shot take as we follow Eddie Carr, when he ties a rope to a tree, and we follow him as he goes inside the trailer towards Nick, Malcolm, and Sarah. Shots like this really do a good job of immersing the viewer into the experience. Now, this is probably going to be a controversial statement, but, well, here I go. I like the soundtrack for this movie better than the soundtrack for the original. Don't get me wrong, the original movie's soundtrack is incredible, but this one, in my opinion, is just far more engaging. John Williams could have easily just reused the themes from the original over and over again, but he didn't. Instead, he composed some great new themes, including a lot of tribal instruments like drums, adding to the exotic feel of the movie. The main Jurassic Park theme does pop up a couple times in the movie, but it's not overused, unlike some of the other Jurassic Park sequels. As for my issues with this movie, I've brought up a couple of them already, but here's a few more. The character of Malcolm's daughter, Kelly, yeah, I'm not a fan. And no, it's not because a white guy has a black daughter. I can buy that her mother, Malcolm's ex-wife, was black. No, my issue is just her character. She's not very well written. I mean, at the beginning of the movie, she complains to her father about not getting punished enough. I defend a lot of things about this movie, but I cannot defend this. No child ever says this kind of stuff. Also, the infamous scene where she kills a raptor with gymnastics. Yeah, it's silly. It's not the worst moment in all of Jurassic Park, that's for sure, but it's still kinda stupid. There is also some real suspension of disbelief moments in this movie. The biggest one being the scene where Eddie pulls up a giant-ass trailer from a cliff with his little car. Yeah, not buying it. There's a scene at the end of the movie where the ship that is bringing the T-Rex to San Diego, which is called the SS Venture, nice touch, crashes into the bay, and it's revealed that all of the crew is somehow dead. But the T-Rex is still locked at the bottom of the ship, so how is this possible? I've heard some people make theories about how the T-Rex got out while they were heading to San Diego, and it killed most of the crew, and then one of them managed to lead it back in there and trap it. But if that's so, I feel like they should have explained that, because for years this always confused me. Those are my other problems with this movie. A criticism that I've heard about this movie that drives me nuts is that Malcolm and his group are the real villains of the movie, and that if they didn't interfere, Peter Ludlow and his men would have captured the dinosaurs, put them in their zoo, and everything would have been fine.
Amazing. Every word of what you just said was wrong.
If they had done that, the dinosaurs would have broken out and people would have died. I know that because that's what actually happens at the end of the movie. People criticize the scene where Nick releases the dinosaurs that they've captured, and the dinosaurs trash their camp. Yeah, let me ask you this. What's worse? A group of people who came to this island knowing the danger and knowing the risk getting hurt, or millions of innocent people getting killed on the mainland because these assholes wanted to make money and brought the danger to them? So, in the end, I really like this movie. I think it's the best of the Jurassic Park sequels. It has flaws for sure, and the original is far superior, but it's still a really good, entertaining time. If you are a hater of this movie and you haven't seen it in years, then I'd recommend that you give it another watch. Who knows, you might like it even more. Or maybe you'll just hate it more. All I know is that I like this movie, and I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Join me next time for my review of yet another controversial and divisive film in the series, Jurassic Park 3.